I'm Alex Valtrades, and this is the pre-watch thoughts for Ready Player One. So I think I've made it clear by now that I'm not a fan of the overuse of CGI, nor have I ever liked Spielberg. Based on the trailers, I'm ready for all the CGI, and it made sense given the premise. I'm still not ready for a Spielberg movie. The Indiana Jones movies aren't actually all that good, especially when you watch them all in a row. And god damn it, they're making another one. I also couldn't even sit through all of the BFG. The Post, Lincoln, Warhorse, Saving Private Ryan, Amistad, and Schindler's List all look like horrific dramas designed only to garner the love of the beloved Academy. War of the Worlds involved far too much Dakota Fanning screaming. Catch Me If You Can, Minority Report, and Jurassic Park are all surprisingly watchable, with actual rewatch value as well. AI, artificial intelligence, is painful to sit through, even though I've watched it countless times because it is almost a Kubrick film, but has too much Spielberg in it. Hook and The Lost World are just awful. The Color Purple is good, but I think that's more to do with Alice Walker's great novel than his directing. I don't like E.T. or Close Encounters. Jaws wasn't the film that Spielberg really wanted to make, making it better than his original vision. He seems to be graced with luck and good concepts. That all probably seems harsh, but I'm not dreading Ready Player One. I just don't think that Spielberg is the greatest or even one of the greatest directors of our time. Ready Player One was written by Zach Penn, who created a great show canceled before its time, Alphas, and has stuck to mostly comic book adaptations, such as The Avengers, The Incredible Hulk, Elektra, the first two X-Men sequels, and a favorite of mine, Last Action Hero, which is not a comic book adaptation. Also with a writing credit is Ernest Cline, who has a very short filmography, but includes an episode of The Return of MST3K and an episode of Red vs. Blue, and the cult film Fanboys. He also wrote the novel of the same name that Ready Player One is based on, so it is good to see they involved him in its adaptation, but stuck him with the more experienced screenwriter, Penn, even if some of Penn's movies are awful. The star, Ty Sheridan, is Cyclops in the continuing X-Men First Class sequels, wherein he was relatively unimpressive, but I chalked that one up to a pretty meh written character, as Scott Summers almost always is. I don't know his co-star Olivia Cook from anything. Of course, most people currently know Ben Mendelsohn from Rogue One, myself included, and I found him overt in that, as so many of the current Star Wars villains are, but he is capable of great acting considering Mississippi Grind. I know Lena Waithe from nothing, mostly because she's typically a writer, having worked as staff on such shows as Bones. TJ Miller burst into my sphere of recognition with his first acting credit, Cloverfield. While he is almost always the same character, he always performs it perfectly. He has one tool in his toolbox, but it is polished to a mere shine. Simon Pegg will always be a draw for me. He's hilarious, but has depth, as seen in Shaun of the Dead. And I've seen Hot Fuzz a million times. I'm not sure how good Ready Player One is going to be. My hope is that it will be entertaining. I know it will be highly referential, and that could be good or bad, but I'm ready to be either amazed or disappointed. This is the PostView review for Ready Player One. Welcome to Reference, the movie! In this story about a paradise matrix in a dystopian future, we get to follow Wade, a poor orphan fanboy, over the course of a week to solve the puzzles of the literal god of the matrix to win ownership of said matrix, and finds love in a plucky, serious girl as an evil corporate bastard tries to win ownership himself. That all sounds really familiar. Not the specifics of the matrix, obviously, but just the general hero's journey BS. The plot, the protagonist, his friends, and the antagonist, who are all very paint by numbers, were performed in hit or miss fashion. The world building is both clunky and just impossible. The movie is a technical mess. And finally, the ending is just stupid. Some of the actors do a good job. The only part of the movie I really actually liked a great deal was Lena Waithe. Really, she does amazing. Some of the references are fun, but so is cheesecake. But I'd like about 10 bites of cheesecake at a time, not the whole fucking cake in a single sitting. The special effects are good. I'm not sure we should be giving out prizes on that front anymore, though. Nothing about Ready Player One is original, which makes sense since it is all just Easter eggs. It's not even ironic, it's just bad. Not only does Ready Player One not do anything original, the actual characters don't do anything original within the world. Apparently, imagination died in 2017, and some companies burned all their IPs from the face of the earth in the world of Ready Player One, because in the more than 20 years that have passed between our time and the time of the movie, no new IPs were created, and the people of Ready Player One only know how to ape the ideas of creators long past. And of course, the 80s were the best creative decade, at least according to Ready Player One. Please, my eyes can only roll so much before I get to view the front of my brain. When discussing that issue with someone, they mentioned that Ready Player One was a book first, but if that issue exists in the book as well, then it is still a fucking problem. Did all the writers and artists die in some great war just before Oasis was created? Advancements like Oasis, such as the internet, typically cause more creative people to exist, or at least be seen, not less, and certainly not zero. One could argue that the characters in Oasis bodies are more original, but then Wade calls himself Parzival. One character calls herself Artemis. Wade uses the DeLorean from Back to the Future, and Artemis uses the Canada bike. They barely branch out from things they already know to create new things. You could say that that's typical human behavior, but at the same time, it's like none of our characters have any aspirations to be imaginative at all. None of them, which I don't find believable. I like references to things I love just as much as the next person, but I still want a good story and good character development to go along with it. And this movie offers neither. Wade is a typical hero following a typical hero's journey narrative path, with a friend and a new love interest who is not impressed with him upon meeting him. The plot is 100% predictable. Nothing was a surprise. Oasis wouldn't work the way as it was shown in Ready Player One past alpha. People would lose all their shit and never play again, especially since a lot of real money is on the line. Seriously, no corpse run? Or how about just some item losses or one currency or trade stream being zeroed out? No, everything. Bullshit. That's almost as bad as permadeath. It's unrealistic. On that same front of people not knowing how video games work, Easter eggs are not special items that give players powers. They are literally just a reference buried somewhere for people to find or figure out. So thanks, movie, for teaching so many people the incorrect things about video games. The private debtors' prisons shown in Ready Player One bring up a question. What the fuck are the governments doing? Even if the governments fell due to bad economic conditions, new ones would rise again. And good luck telling politicians the world over that they don't have the right to regulate their nation. We have separate nations fighting over global issues now, specifically on tech and money as it relates to entertainment, i.e. EA's bullshit loot boxes. Even if every government wasn't doing their job and protecting the people, there would be activist groups, protests, riots. We have those now and have plenty of escapism to distract ourselves. It doesn't matter if Oasis is awesome. It can't feed you, directly. Our main character is woefully performed, but Olivia Cooke is good. The antagonist is a cartoon, but Lena Waithe is good. Finale was an obvious love from Blade Runner 2049 copy, but TJ Miller was great. Holiday was woodenly performed, but Simon Pegg did a great job. Hit, miss, hit, miss. Technically, most people like what this movie does, but I felt that on that front, the movie failed as well. During many of the Oasis sequences, I felt like I was watching a blue version of a Star Wars special edition. In other words, there is too much shit on screen. They're so interested in showing off all the IPs they got that I can't tell what I'm supposed to be looking at. The shots were horrifically composed. The sound mixing was also horrific, both of which created the need to constantly rewind the damn movie and prolong the experience. The score was also discordant to the on-screen tone. Spielberg was obviously upset he couldn't get John Williams and pushed Alan Silvestri to ape him hardcore. Now to talk about the ending, I've got to mention spoilers, so skip ahead to get my rating. When our very two-dimensional villain chases the protagonist into the stacks, where it is explicitly stated that everyone knows he blew up one of the stacks, killing several people, and isn't immediately beaten to death, Ready Player One loses all sense of reality. Does anyone remember the beginning of the riot in V for Vendetta? A single man with one handgun is no match for a crowd of pissed off poor people who know he's a murderer. He would be ripped to shreds, especially since many people could have easily disarmed him. Also, Wade and the rest of the High Five shutting down the Oasis 2 days a week is the most ableist idea ever. Sure, reality is great when you're an attractive teenager with all your limbs and faculties and you get to bang somebody who's just as hot as you are. But when you're a paraplegic, Oasis seems a hell of a lot better than reality, doesn't it? There's that stupid no-name character at the end trying to figure out the last trial that feels shoehorned in and is poorly performed. It feels like a character from the novel that is poorly executed in the movie. Or possibly it's a stupid idea that someone came up with for the movie to add another smart female character in. But we already have two pretty good, better developed characters who are women. Is Lena Waithe a joke to you? The ending is really obvious too. The theme of people good, corporations bad is so overdone and not really an idea most viewers are going to disagree with. It's also a little ironic considering that this is a Warner Brothers movie, you know, a corporation. But anyway, that theme is just so basic and flat. There's not a lot you can do with it. It's immature as well. Wait a second, am I being too harsh? Is this a young adult novel? Not according to Wikipedia. Maybe the novel has more depth and thematic exploration than this film. So for all those reasons, Ready Player One is at best a 5 out of 10. Not passable. This movie asks no real questions, tells a flat story badly, and just pisses me off. I'm literally angry. Some of that anger is from the poor syncing between the subtitles and the audio, which is why I bumped my rating up 1 point to account for that bad experience that had little to do with the movie itself. Ready Player One is just so pathetic. It's mediocre, but graphically pretty, and that's considered a hit these days. Seriously, don't watch Ready Player One. Don't ever watch this movie. Okay, rant finally over. Ready Player One. What a fucking mess. This was PostView Review, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share, subscribe, click that bell, leave a comment below, visit my blog at empatheticwriter.wordpress.com, and follow me on Patreon for exclusive content and a shout out on a video. Merch, 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 merch. Yeah. Check out my new shop at cafepress.com/AlexofAllTrades for all kinds of products with my face on them.